What would you say is some of the biggest hurdles that you've overcome as part of getting Midnight Oil up and running and now being open for over a year?
There are a few things. I think one, we're used to a lot of the Orange County locations. If people are going, they're going and just staying and spending. In Long Beach, there are so many options, which is great. This is why we love Long Beach. We may have our reservations look like they're booked up for the night and someone will make plans to go elsewhere. But in fact, those people are coming in, grabbing a snack and leaving in 45 minutes where we booked out 2 hours for them.
Build smart, move fast, get the edge of last. This is the Catalyst.
You are listening to The Catalyst, the podcast by the Long Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the Small Business Resiliency Series, brought to you by Don Temple Storage, Wells Fargo, Dignity Health St. Mary's Medical Center, Hyatt Regency Hotel, Intertrend, and Crown Castle. And now, onto The Catalyst.
And welcome to The Catalyst, back to another episode of the Small Business Resiliency Series. And today, I'm excited to have Mr. Midnight Oil himself, Leonard Chan, owner and founder of Midnight Oil. If you guys have not been down there, it's right on the corner of 3rd and Broadway, or 3rd and Long Beach Boulevard, right? Used to be the Rosemellows location.
Yes.
And it's been Midnight Oil now for just over a year. Welcome, Leonard Chan, to the program. Thank you for being here with us on The Catalyst.
Thank you for having us, man. We're happy to be here.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, you guys opened in February 2025. You guys are just about a year old, but you started planning for Midnight Oil how long ago? How many years did it take you to get this concept up and running?
I moved to Long Beach about almost 3 years ago now in the Zafaria area. And my now wife, at that time, I said I was destined to open something in Long Beach. And at the time, I was just like, absolutely not. I'm so tired from all the other bars and stuff like that. But then opportunities arose. Some friends that were local to Long Beach really were gung-ho about like trying to find a spot and giving it a go there. And so we started doing research. We were looking in Zafaria, 4th Street Corridor, not so much Belmont area. We kind of wanted to remain in more of a neighborhoody area. And then I remember going to Beer Belly when they first opened and then going to Rosemellows subsequently after the pandemic, and the space arose. We were lately already kind of like restaurant friends with Jimmy, the owner at the time. So it was a pretty easy transition. And then when we found the space, everything kind of all fell into place.
Were you nervous about opening up a restaurant in a post-pandemic world?
Absolutely. Even though we were confident about the location, downtown Long Beach has had its ups and downs, as you know. And it seems like every time we're on the cusp of just kind of like overcoming certain things, pandemic hits or, something as unfortunate as George Floyd, and it sometimes sets that neighborhood back a little bit. And I think downtown Long Beach is especially susceptible to those kind of fluctuations on what happens in the world,
Yeah, it seems like every time that something good happens or 2 or 3 good things happen, something else happens that takes a step back a little bit where people go, well, wait a minute, wasn't that place where XYZ incident happened or something?
Most definitely. So I think that was one of our hesitations to going into downtown, but what we've seen about all the positive changes that we're going through made us feel a lot more comfortable about choosing that location.
You're in a great spot, too, because you're right there on Long Beach Boulevard and 3rd. You're surrounded by other great restaurants as well, like Amatoli's is right across the street. And then you have the new Buen Provencho, right, and Broken Spirit. So you're kind of right in this really great row of restaurants and bars. But you were one of the first, weren't you?
Yeah, we were the first to really like carry the kind of cocktail program that we brought to that area. Broken Spirits had kind of started that kickoff. I think Amatoli really cemented that corner, that intersection for food. Sonora Town has been great, but a lot of the focus has always been on the promenade and, to degree Pine Street. So it was kind of nice that the downtown area, in at least in those 2 blocks, have really started to grow. And even with like Homarea opening up on 4th Street, I think just having more food options, bar options, drinking areas, hangout locations is going to bring about a lot of positive changes to the neighborhood.
People always say a good restaurant concept is always about creativity, having something unique or something that people will want to travel to. Let's talk about your concept a bit, because it all starts with there, because you have a really unique bar. You have really great cocktails that you can't get anywhere else. So tell me about how all of this came to fruition. Where did you start? How did you decide what you were going to do? Talk me through that process.
For sure. When we started, it's kind of a funny story. We wanted the main bar to be an apothecary, which it is still now. We kind of inherited a tiki that turned into roadkill which is now transformed into like a Creature from the Black Lagoon Bayou themed tiki tropical experience. And then we always wanted a third concept. And that third concept was going to be like a tight apothecary, darker, back room kind of feel to it. And then the main bar before it turned into the apothecary was going to be yakitori, just because I love yakitori and izakaya concepts. But Kevin from Tokyo Noir, him and I have been friends for ages. He introduced me to Yoya, and then Yoya and I found out that we had met at one of my oyster bars like 12 years ago. And then we were just through talking, he was like, "Oh, I'm opening up an izakaya a street from you." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll pivot. We'll move the apothecary to the main space, and then we will come up with like an opium den concept," which I've been sitting on for maybe 11 or 12 years now that I've been wanting to do. Yo-Yo was shocked. He was like, "That's it?" And then Kevin was like, "I thought sparks were going to fly." But we want to be a part of the community and the community to grow. So it just made sense to create a concept that we could still feel very comfortable with, that still was in line with what we want to do with our bar program, and still not step on any toes, especially since we knew that Chef Yo-Yo is such an amazing and creative culinary, force behind us.
Mm-hmm. Now, you kind of touched on some of this. You mentioned that Midnight Oil might be new, might be just about a year old, but you're not new to the restaurant game. You've been around for a long time, and you've worked on a lot of other different concepts. What are some of these other concepts that you've worked on, and where were they? Because I know they weren't here at Long Beach, right?
Yeah. Not Long Beach, all in Orange County previous. I started 19 years ago. We helped open up a second location of California Shabu. And then we opened up the first location of Iron Press, and then the first location of Chuck Oyster Bar. That was all in Costa Mesa. Then I finally dipped my toes in the bar world with the Blind Rabbit at the Packing House, second location of Iron Press, and Rolling Boil. I initially wanted to open up a bar, but didn't realize all the red tape. Things are much smoother, easier now that we understand it. But so we kind of started slow with beer and wine licenses, then went into cocktails. And after that, caught the bug and we opened up Hatch, which was mid-century modern tropical. And then we switched a couple years later to be Stowaway, which is now in a bigger, newer location now. And then we opened up a Goonies themed tiki bar called the Lost Inferno with a Japanese speakeasy above it, which is kind of a sister bar to the Blind Rabbit. And then we moved to Long Beach, and here we are. We're running 3 different bar programs within one space. We kind of wanted to make it easy for people to have 3 experiences without having to hop in an Uber or hop in the amazingly awesome ride circuit that we have, but for people to feel safe where they could get 3 experiences, knock it out, and still go on their merry way to other bars like within Long Beach or even downtown area. It was a challenge in the beginning, so we opened up in phases. We first opened up the Apothecary, the main bar, within a month after getting the keys, because we were trying to save all the staff as much as possible. We didn't want to have them displaced. So we ran about less than 5 weeks and we were able to open the main bar. And then it was another 2 months where we reopened the Roadkill. And then it was 6 months after that we opened up Halpongyo, the opium den concept. And then just recently we flipped the concept of Roadkill into the lagoon. It's been little mini nightmares, but we've got there, and our team, especially Sherwood, has been helping immensely on things from construction all the way to our bar programs.
So you mentioned you took that room, and for those that don't know, you're talking about the room in that far back, right? The little
it's behind like this hidden wall that there's one panel that pushes open, and you'll feel completely transported to another space.
So you mentioned that it's gone through a few different iterations since you opened in the last year. What made you want to pivot from one concept to another?
Initially, it was Tiki before, but when we took over, it was already Roadkill. We wanted to expand the bar program, so what we did was just kind of added more decorations to the space, doubled the cocktails, but then it still just didn't quite feel right for what we were trying to do. And so we, like our other tiki bars, we just went full on and dove right in. And so there are no blank spaces on the wall anymore. We cozied up the space and added, overhangs. We, I think, tripled the amount of fishing floats, double the amount of pufferfish in there. We've had one wall that's just organically turned into a dollar wall. So people visiting either in town or from out of town, sign dollar bills, and that's completely covered one wall. Shag has donated 2 prints into there, one in Lagoon and one in Halpongyo. Big Toe has donated 2 Creature from the Black Lagoon prints also. A local guy named Hugh, who's a barfly that you probably know, he donated 2 actually movie stills from the Creature from the Black Lagoon too. And so we've really feel like we wanted an immersive experience rather than just kind of walking in and just getting a different bar program. So we want the Apothecary to be the main bar, the Lagoon to have a completely immersive experience, and then you can go to Halpongyo and you're in another completely different experience.
Yeah. That's an interesting concept where you got that same amount of square footage, but instead of just having one basic, feel or vibe, you can go and spend the entire night there and feel like you were in 3 different places, but still be right there at Midnight Oil.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's been tough. So it's just, like
So
if you open up a big space, sometimes it's, even if you have 20 or 30 people in there, it may seem empty, right? So we really wanted to have the space feel vibrant, even if there's only 10 in one bar, 15 in another, and 20 in the main one. It just feels alive. The space feels a lot more alive that way.
you said just a bit ago that it's been tough.
Yeah.
But it would seem like for somebody with your experience and somebody who's done as much as you, it shouldn't be hard anymore. But that's not always the case, is it? You always are coming up with unique challenges that's unique to each location. What would you say is some of the biggest hurdles that you've overcome as part of getting Midnight Oil up and running and now being open for over a year?
Yeah, there are a few things. I think one, we're used to a lot of the Orange County locations. If people are going, they're going and just staying and spending. So if they make a reservation, this is how we book out and this is how we figure out how we're staffing. And if they book, they're almost guaranteed to stay the entire time and want to stay longer. But in Long Beach, there are so many options, which is great. This is why we love Long Beach. We may have our reservations look like they're booked up for the night and someone will make plans to go elsewhere. But in fact, those people are coming in, grabbing a snack and leaving in 45 minutes where we booked out 2 hours for them, right? So we're learning to kind of how we're working around that. Like we may pull reservations and just run with a waitlist system and first come, first serve it, except in Hapomyo, which is a very curated experience. And I think it's just a little bit of its supply and demand, right? There are so many great bars and restaurants, even within just downtown Long Beach, let alone going to the marina where you're at and, 4th Street, the Feria, even down 7th Street, that we may just be one stop for someone's 4-stop night, right? And so I think with all the new housing that's coming in, I believe it's going to help, but it's still a testament where you see a lot of these 5-on-1 builds where the ground floor is just empty, right? No retail is going in and landlords are just keeping them empty. It just seems like with all the options that are there, part of it is we need outside people coming into this area of Long Beach to help sustain.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the activations that are coming along, especially with the amphitheater and stuff like that, are going to help as well. Another challenge that we saw is a lot of people coming out of the pandemic. I think they didn't have that kind of community of going out, whether it's drinking coffee, dining. And I think so it was a little bit of a tough time, opening right around where those people, that age group is normally starting to go out. But we're seeing a little bit of an uptick now of people maybe a little bit younger than that group and a little bit older that are pulling them outside of their bubble and getting them back out a little bit more now. So I think some of it is just, a waiting game, and some of it's just learning how to adapt. And even with Long Beach, because of those, what we're talking about, those time constraints, we're finding that we're needing to do a lot more happily too. It's fun to do a lot more collaborations, pop-ups, specials, menu flips, even things as silly as I think, we're starting to try to do mahjong nights, bingo on some nights, karaoke on some nights, running specials on other nights. We have a DJ group that comes in on Tuesdays and it's all free. Terrible Burger pops up on Tuesdays. So I think it's just Long Beach has so much going on that we want to stay as active as possible to keep people engaged, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a trend that's been going around, not just here in Long Beach, but nationally, where the younger demographics, the younger millennials or, college students or whatever, they're not drinking as much.
Definitely.
I see it all the time in reports of that. Have you experienced that? And have you done anything to try and combat this new trend of, college students not drinking?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're saying. We're running a lot more food specials, which we typically don't do, outside of happy hour. We're doing a Wednesday $10 beef noodle soup. We're expanding our mocktail program. This is the first location where we've ever carried non-alcoholic beer. We were lucky enough to find a nice non-alcoholic Taiwan beer that kind of fits into our whole game plan. And I think it's just a matter of trying to get that crowd out, even if it's not to drink alcohol. It's to eat and just to build a safe space and for them to even have fun. We run book clubs over there. They do events, and it's not necessarily cocktail driven. It's more community driven, if anything else.
I think that you mentioned that right there. It's not cocktail driven, it's community driven. And that's a unique angle. It's something that you would have never had to think about previously. It was always people go there because you want the drinks, it's good pricing, good happy hours. But no one ever thought about a restaurant being a good community neighbor, which I think is becoming more and more important nowadays, not just for restaurants, but for all businesses.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And I think it's just changing tides, right? And I think if Long Beach luckily is so community driven, I think that's why there's just, even in pockets of each little neighborhood, there's always something going on. And there's a sense of pride, even not just with the city, but down to each of those neighborhoods. And I think coming from Orange County, figuring that out has been a little bit challenging for us, but we're getting there. And we're really fortunate to have the team that we have. Like a lot of these have been Long Beach natives, or they've been bartending, for over a decade and at different bars around the city. And so they really helped us kind of get a grasp on what we can gain traction on versus what we may be spinning our wheels for,
There's a lot that's going on. And you mentioned downtown, you mentioned the Zephyria, 4th Street, Belmont Shores, Naples. I mean, the city is just coming alive with just different areas. What would you like to see happen in downtown next to draw more people to the downtown area, and hence to not just your bar, but just to the area in general?
Yeah, I think steps are already kind of being made. Like I was saying before, like the amphitheater, sorry, plugging over, the amphitheater is going to help out, I think, a lot. I think with the Olympics coming into town, little things like litter and unhoused are being addressed a lot more. And I think for those, it'll really help revitalize downtown. The mayor seems pretty focused on helping out the area too, because I think he realizes himself that it is vital and beating heart for the city. We'll see. I don't know what changes are going to happen. I know we have elections coming up soon, but I think with that and FIFA, it's putting Long Beach on the map a little bit more. Public transportation is getting better. Like my wife and I took it home from LAX to go to everywhere for a burger pop-up that Carlos was doing. And even with delays, we were able to get there in just under 2 hours. And, dealing with that LA exit and everything and hopping in Uber would have taken us over an hour anyway. So, the $225 ride versus an $80 Uber, then we're still in the heart of Long Beach. It was nice. So I think with all those things coming, we see a light at the end of the tunnel. We're anxious to see that tunnel end a little bit quicker. You know what I mean?
I know you got to run here because you've got a crazy schedule, but I'm wondering if there's somebody out there listening saying like, man, you're living my dream. I've always wanted to open a new bar, open a restaurant. I've always wanted to have multiple concepts. I've always wanted to do this. What advice here now in 2026 would you give this person? What would you tell them other than don't do it?
I think you and I know that is normally our first reaction to tell people don't do it.
And people ask me why I own a bar, and I said, I lost a bet.
Yeah.
So
apparently I've lost many bets.
But what advice would you give to somebody who's saying like, man, I want to be you in 10 years?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is always either find a good partner or find really a great team or like someone that you can really lean on. It'll help in those times if you just need a mental break, a day off, or anything. You need to take care of an elderly parent or something. My mom has dementia, and I'm lucky. Like at each location, we have great partners that are really supportive. Secondly, I would say get everything down on paper. Like I'm a big hugs over handshakes kind of person, but sometimes, just to protect everybody involved, it's just easier to have something to fall back on where you can be like, hey, this is what we agreed on, just so there are no arguments and no relationships that are damaged. And I think the only other thing is, be prepared to have your life flipped upside down, like especially in the bar industry. Like you're not done at 5 o'clock, right? Like I'm done with my admin stuff at 5, but my phone is blowing up until midnight. A lot of times with things, but a lot of times it's like, hey, oh crap, this happened or that happened. Can you help out? Or is there something we can do tomorrow morning?
Are you there, Leonard? I think I lost you. You're frozen. Well, I'm trying to get Leonard back here onto the program. His internet seems to have frozen up here. So not sure exactly where we got cut off, but Leonard's battery died. That's why he's looking a little different right now, but we're back on. You got your phone going. So this is what we talk about resiliency, right? You never know what's going to happen. You got to adapt and pivot as you kind of go along, right? So, yeah. So anyways, I know you're on a time crunch here, but I just wanted to say thanks for joining us today on The Catalyst. If people wanted to reach out to you, they want to know more about you, they want to visit your place, give us one more time how they can do that, how they can reach out to you, and where you're located again.
Yeah, please come by Midnight Oil. We're at 255 Long Beach Boulevard, so it's on the intersection of 3rd and Long Beach Boulevard. If you catch our website or anything, if you hit an email, it'll go to me too. So if there are any aspiring bar owners out there, if you have questions, I could definitely try to help you avoid some pitfalls, and I'm always willing to help out anybody that's looking for a little bit of.
Yeah. All right. So that's Midnight Oil again. And what's your website?
MNOLBC.com.
MidnightOilLBC.com. Perfect. Yeah. Leonard, again, thank you so much. Get out of here.
Thank you for
Go
having
do
me.
your day. I know you're going to have a busy, busy day. So thanks again for taking the time out and speaking with us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, have a
We'll
good
see
day.
you soon.
Thank you.
All
Okay.
right, you too.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening. We'll catch you all in the next episode. We'll see you. Bye.